And hello, everyone. Another edition of Mammoth After Hours finally underway. This one took a minute because the holidays got in the way. We won't even try to pretend something else was going on. It was simply about the holidays, and so there you go. And so now we're back from the break. And guys, Peyton Kraft, Jamie Shuchuk, Andy Linda, all here with you. I'll tell you what, guys, we couldn't have a better game to start with, quite honestly, because that was amazing the other night. Jamie, I'm going to start with you. I've seen a lot of games. I'm not sure I've seen anything like what we saw the other night.
Yeah, I mean, typical Mammoth fashion, you can never count them out. And, 8-1, 10-2 at one point, scored some big goals late in the second quarter. And then, it's 10-7 at halftime, and they came out. Offense did their job. Defense shut them out in the whole fourth quarter. So, I mean, it was fun to watch just to see the poise and the composure. Watching Pat Coyle in the post-game interview, he was spot on. Just don't stop believing and stick to the game plan, and they showed it. So yeah, fun game to be a part of. 28 goals was that's a great lacrosse game in my mind.
Peyton, you were in the crowd. You were doing the whole, the in-arena hosting thing. It was country music night. It felt like it was juiced, and then it wasn't after, what did they get up to, 10-2, I think, at one point in that first half was what they staked out to. What was that crowd like for you?
Well, I've never been a part of – I mean, the Mammoth have been different this season to where they start off early instead of kind of wait till the second half to come back. So I've never been in a crowd that is dead silent. Like, trying to interact with fans when you're down 8-1, 10-2 is the absolute worst. But luckily, towards the end, it started to get fun again.
Yeah, it was. I still don't even know. Like, Jamie, what do you think put them over the top? Like, I can't even put my finger on what. We always know that a comeback is possible, but I think you and I even talked about it on the broadcast at one point. It just kind of felt like Albany kept getting that one goal they needed to stop the Mammoth run. What do you think really kind of pushed it over the top?
Yeah, I think they got goals in all different ways. They were scoring 5-on-5, but Damon Edwards scoring that transition goal, getting the crowd back into it, like Peyton mentioned, just getting the energy back in the building. I felt like Albany just came out pumping. I feel like a lot of road teams coming in to the Loud House, there's a lot of energy even for the road teams, and it's a fun building to play in. So I think they just came out with a lot of energy, and Colorado matched that, and they ended up dropping the ball. Connor Kelly leading the way. It was incredible to watch. But I think it was just an energy shift there from Albany owning it, and then the Mammoth just used the momentum of their crowd and just stuck with it.
Do you guys, and Peyton talked about, she was shadowing us in the broadcast booth the year that the Mammoth were able to win it. She was around doing some altitude stuff the year after where they went and they didn't win it, unfortunately, or maybe it was the year that they went but didn't win the championship, Peyton, that you were with us. But I feel like the crowds have been great this year for them, and I feel like the energy's truly back, and I feel like we've had it every game, which is positive. Peyton, is it, I mean, you've talked about the quiet crowd, but kids taking their shirts off. You were in there for some Avs games. You've been in there for Nuggets games with your job at altitude last year. How do you compare the environments? It still feels pretty juiced, even though maybe even the top rung isn't full.
No, they're super fun. I mean, the nice thing about these games is you kind of have interaction with the fans in like the party zone area, so you can talk with them. But I love the games. Our first game was Black Friday. I did not think anyone would show up to that game just because the holidays, kind of like why we haven't been doing this. But every game, everyone's there cheering on, even when we're down. They stay. So those fans are something else.
Well, I'll tell you what, we've got our special guest tonight, and he was really special that game. And now my phone's trying to text him, and we don't want that. Welcome to the program. Now we're going to get Connor Robinson in here. Connor, glad to have you along. We got a chance to talk to you earlier in the year. But man, you guys have really had the offense going the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and especially last game. I was asking Jamie, what put you guys over the hump? It felt like you kept crawling within shouting distance of Albany, but what was what do you think changed the momentum where you guys were able to jump on them and get past them?
I think it was just sticking to the game plan. I mean, our offense is so deadly overall. I mean, you look at the left side, you got me, you got Eli, you got Will, you got Bella, and then you might be able to stop that one night and put all your focus, but then you look over to the right and you got Zeddy, Leeser, CK, Gibby, and there's just so many guys that are just so talented. And sure, you're gonna shut us down for a little bit, maybe a quarter or two, and I don't know why we keep doing it. It's just, I mean, I guess look at a glass half full. Like, it's better to be a second half team than a first half team, but like we keep digging ourselves a hole. But like, you're going to stop us for a quarter or two, but like you're not going to stop us all game. So it's not a matter of when we're going to pop off. It's a matter of who's going to pop off, which is it's a fun offense to play. I'll tell you that.
Jamie, did you want to? We'll go. I'll tell you what, guys. We're kind of doing it on the fly. We'll go Jamie, then Peyton. We'll just keep the rotation that way, so no one's confused.
Yeah, no, what's up, Connor? Just noticed with your team, like it's already the season, you're definitely started out, a couple wins there and tough one in San Diego. But, I feel like, with Ryan Lee back in the locker room and, is there any feeling again, like how you guys felt a few years ago when, you made it to back-to-back championships? Is there kind of a shift? Obviously last year, kind of took a year off, so to speak. And, so like, is there that feeling back in the locker room, and how important is Ryan Lee to get back, just not only on the floor, but just back with the boys in the room?
I think he's a huge part of it. And I know missing last year, just all the stuff he's dealt with and all the stuff he's been through, just to see him back out there is a victory in itself. And to see him out there producing and creating opportunities for himself. I mean, it's awesome to see, and it gives us a boost. I know he's like such a personality in the room, and we're so happy to have him back. And it sucked watching him watch from the press box on IR for all those months, and just having him there is such a boost. And I couldn't say enough good things about him. I mean, he's just such an awesome guy, and I have so much fun playing with him. And like you said, like we had a better start than last year. That's for darn sure. So it's definitely nice getting that win, and just kind of listening to Patty, and he's kind of the anchor for all of us, where he kind of sets the tone and he sets the line, and we listen to him and we feed off him, and he's just such a good leader where we can all kind of be ourselves, and you kind of see it on the floor. We're 4-2. We're off to a good start this year.
Yeah, well, it's obviously good to have Ryan Lee back. But as for you, you've had 12 goals, 17 assists this season. How are you assessing your performance so far, and what are some goals you have set for the remainder of this season?
Yeah, I think it's just kind of keep contributing and keep doing what I can to help the guys, whether I'm producing one night or somebody else. Just keep playing my game. And yeah, like you said, I've been pretty fortunate in the games I played this year. So just sticking to the mindset of it's a 5-man unit, and sometimes the looks are going to be there and sometimes they aren't. But when you get your chance, just take advantage. And I kind of have a couple spots I like, so I kind of like to gravitate towards those positions on the floor. And I mean, I've been working on my shot, so when I get my opportunities, I'm making sure to capitalize on them. So I'm fingers crossed I keep this going, but no, I'm having fun out there, definitely, and it's a lot of fun putting the ball in the back of the net.
Is this the most balanced you guys have been from each side? I feel like one year, like the year you guys went to the championship, it felt like you guys on the left side really carried things, right? And then, Zed got going, I want to say, later in the year, and you had Gibson and Ryan would do his thing, but it just felt like it was a little more left-hand dominated. I don't know that I can say it even went back right-hand dominated. I mean, the right side had their games at times, but they were still leaning on you. But this is a year, Jamie, this is one of the things Jamie's talked to me a lot about with it, where it just feels like either side could go off. Matter of fact, both the right and the left side kind of took their turns. You were up there. I thought you were going to get the sock trick because you had the 4 goals, and John Gallant was praying that you didn't get the sock trick because he doesn't want any more socks on his head anymore. And then all of a sudden, Connor Kelly comes out from nowhere, right? And then he gets to 5. And again, we were worried about socks raining down again. And I don't like the sock trick thing, by the way. I do have something. I have a buddy that sent me the origin of the sock trick. And I hate to tell you, it's in Colorado. I did not know we were responsible for this, but we are. But, is this as balanced as you guys have had, Connor?
I think so, yeah. I mean, you look at kind of the productivity, and so far this year, and 6 games in, and you got CK. I don't know if he's number 1. I haven't looked at it, but he's up there in the standings. Then you got myself, Eli, Will, Leeser, Zeddy, kind of right all up in there. And it's so nice knowing that defenses have to come in and worry about both sides. And I think the couple years we made it to the finals, we kind of we're forced to rely a little bit stronger left, having Leeser down. But now that he's back, and now that we got 4 capable lefties and 4 capable righties, it's really comfortable knowing that we can go strong left or strong right either game, and we're gonna have success. We're gonna produce looks because we've proven that, and it's a very nice feeling, to say the least.
Yeah, I feel like too. Johnny and I always go back and forth. I'm an O guy, he's a D guy. We played together, we coached together, and so we're always going back and forth watching you guys. And what's different about the defense? We've been talking about offense. What's the feeling there? You guys had veteran Damon Edwards and Brett Craig going down. He had a big year last year, and Wardo seems to be back to Wardo. I mean, I feel like you guys had some tight battles last year, but just couldn't get over the hump in some games. What's the feeling on the back end? Obviously, with Robert Hope leading the way.
I mean, Hope he's I'm going to say Wardo's the anchor, but definitely when you're looking at the short sticks, definitely Hope he's the guy out there chatting with us, kind of leading us out there. And he leads by example, and he's just such a special defender where he looks like he's an 85-year-old man out there, but you kind of see him blocking shots, putting his body on the line, getting loose balls. Like the balls seem to kind of gravitate in his stick. And it's awesome to see. And then you look at the new guys, like you said, you mentioned Damo, you mentioned Krager goes down, which is unfortunate. But then you got younger guys like Owen Rom stepping up. You got guys like Dalton Solver who played his first game. You got a guy like Connor Cook who had one of the more nastier step back moves I've seen. So just the younger guys are getting their opportunities and they're capitalizing. And then you got the veteran guys like Hopi, Moose, Gillis, Timmy, who really lead by their work ethic. And I think that's one thing that Patty and Self are really emphasized in the off season and the preseason is the work ethic and really competing out there for 4 quarters. And I think they do a great job of leading by example, and it really exemplifies the energy and kind of pushes it towards us and makes us want to work harder, seeing them grind out there, seeing them block all those shots and everything along those lines. So it's fun knowing that unfortunately they get 8 put up in the first half, and then you let in 3 in the third quarter, and then you shut them out in the fourth. Like that's just the defense you want. Like, yeah, they're going to let things in.
Fires the front end up too, right? When they're playing like that, like you guys can push each other, right? It's like they're doing their job, we got to step up kind of thing, right?
Exactly. You're always in the game. Like you always have a shot, which is awesome.
You talk about like leadership. You've had some really close games, and then last week you were down 8-1, came back. Do you attribute like this mental toughness to the leadership within the team?
Yeah, I think so. I think some of the guys that have been around a while, or at least that I've been on the team, is we've unfortunately but fortunately put ourselves in that situation more times than we can count, and somehow we figure out a way to climb out. So we do have that experience, that aspect, but no, it definitely comes to our leadership. I mean, you got Liger up front, and then you got Hopi, Gillis, and Timmy on the back end, and you got Wardo just being Wardo in net. So they're it's really comforting. I mean, you're down 8-1. It's really unfortunate, but the temperature on the bench was very cool to what the score reflected it to be. So it's good from the leadership, kind of keeping everyone cool and making sure that we have goals in mind to meet as a team, and those goals are going to lead to success on the floor. So just sticking to those goals that we set for ourselves and watching the outcome. And I mean, we dug ourselves a hole, but we found a way.
Well, you always do. I guess not always, but I feel like since I've been with you guys this second stint, the last, I guess is year 4, Jamie, if you can believe it already for you and me, but it just feels like you guys more often than not have found a way. By the way, was it your goal? It might've been your 4th goal. Was that the one that Liger put his shoulders down and like blocked off 2 guys. Did you see that? He like picked 2 guys. One guy was slow to get off his shoulder and come out to you, but he literally had 2 guys held up at once. Do you even notice what's going on in front of you before you shoot? Quite honestly, I got to start there.
Yeah, that was the third one, and I do remember that. And I mean, you talk about leadership, and you talk about leading by example, and right there is a perfect example. You got Eli where, yeah, he could set a pick, but he's working as hard as he can. He's looking like an offensive tackle out there, pass blocking. He's got one hand on each of their chests, and I didn't realize how open I was until I kind of got in there. And I don't know if the replay shows, I kind of did the wow, what's going on moment and ripped it over him. But I mean, he's just he's the best guy to have out there. I love working with him, and he's just one of the. I mean, he's my roommate. He's an awesome guy to have out there.
Yeah, I was saying that after game 1 against Vancouver, Ryan Lee didn't score. He scored on a penalty shot. Don't know if that counts, but
asterisk.
He didn't think so.
There you go. Right. So, he had a goalless game, but like I said after, I'm like, coming back from what he did and he was doing all that stuff that you guys are talking about. Like he was getting dirty in the middle and working inside out and banging bodies. And, he had some good looks, but, didn't bury, but it's like, you guys pulled that one out too. And, so it just feels like from game 1, adding that leadership back in the room. And, it's important as an offense, that everybody's doing that. And it's good to, you guys are all sacrificing, not, everybody's doing all the little things right, it seems like. So, yeah, it's been fun to watch this year, man. Glad you guys are rolling. And, moving on to Albany, what's, quick turnaround. I'm sure you guys are having film sessions, get a quick prac in, and then it's go time. Like how, when you play these back-to-back home and homes against the same team, what's the feeling rather than, coming off a win or a loss, having to go play someone else, but you're playing the same team after a big win?
It's definitely excitement. I mean, it sounds cliche and it sounds kind of, I guess cliche, but any chance to play at this level with these guys is a great opportunity, and we're super happy with it. But with the home and home, I mean, I think this is my first time ever doing it. So aside from playoffs, I guess. So it is exciting. I mean, they're going to look at their mistakes and fix them and see what worked for them and try to capitalize. And we're going to do the same. So it's going to be an interesting test. And obviously we won and they beat us last year. So we really want to cement that we are back. Last year is a bit of a blip, but we can beat anyone, whether that's home or away. And I think just playing back to back, it's going to be a little bit tougher, but it's exciting, right? Because just like we only have 5 days to prepare, so do they. So we're going to come back, refocus, watch some film, and see what happens Saturday night. The only unfortunate thing is the Albany travel isn't great from Vancouver, so that'll be fun.
Well, obviously Albany's probably got a little bit of a bad taste in their mouth after being up 8-1 and then losing that game. You think it's going to get a little chippy out there?
Yeah, I think they're going to come out with some fire. I mean, their record doesn't reflect who they are. They have 3 OT losses at home, and then kind of what transpired last weekend with us. So they're going to come out hungry. Like they want to win games, and they know they're so close, so they got to keep fighting. So I think they're going to come out a little bit PO'd Saturday night to really say that they deserve to win that game, or they're going to prove it. So we just got to kind of roll with the punches. We know they're going to come out hard because it's their home arena. So roll with the punches and keep playing our lacrosse.
All right, I got to ask you because it's all over Twitter. Maybe you've seen it, maybe you haven't. I don't know how much you're on there. And Jamie, I'm curious about this too. So Barstool picked it up, and that got all this momentum going. First off, you know where I'm going. First off, I've never seen a fight, whether it's hockey or lacrosse, where a guy gets cold cocked, knocked out like an MMA arena. You know what I'm saying? And the one between Buffalo and Toronto, the Toronto player, I don't remember who that was, but I mean, he got as clean a shot on. He tested the old glass jaw. That looked like a Tyson deal, right, on the video game. And now everyone's like, oh, I didn't know about this sport. I didn't know that, which is cool. Hey, I mean, whatever for all eyes. But I was telling, it's probably too old a reference for you guys, but there was a band called Blind Melon once that had this little real mellow song. And little girl dancing in a bee costume, and everybody went and bought the album to find out they were like this major heavy grunge album, and everybody hates it, right? I feel like there's a small part of me that's like, guys, show up for the lacrosse. I'm glad the fights may get you there, but that's not what you're getting every game. Are you happy with that attention, or would you rather try to educate people that, look, we don't get a fight every game in this sport?
No, I think any publicity is good publicity, right? And you just you mentioned it. Barstool picked it up. I don't know if you saw Joe Rogan mention it on his podcast. So that's, I don't know, 100 million, I don't know, I'm not a math guy, but millions upon millions, millions upon millions of people that are kind of newly exposed to the game of lacrosse. So I think that's good. Anyone who kind of knows hockey kind of knows that it's not all about the game. There's some aspects, but no, I think any publicity is good publicity. And if the game's kind of coming out and people are bringing in newly, oh, this is fighting, maybe we're going to see a fight, maybe they'll come check it out. Those are new fans of lacrosse in the door. So I think it's good. And I think fighting deserves to stay in the game. I think it's a great part of it. I think it's unique, us in hockey. So I think, I think it's great. And I mean, who doesn't love a knockout? There's only a couple I've ever seen. Like, I don't know if you guys can remember any more, but the only ones I can see are like the Paulie Dawson where he knocks out Irving, or like hockey, like the Matt Cook knockout. And other than that, like,
Suter, Rory Smith, Jeff Snyder, like those guys, add another roster spot so you can throw a guy like that in the lineup.
Jamie, did you play with Snyder? Did you play? Were you on the team with him then?
I never played with him. I played against him, but I think I totally agree with Connor. The excitement and the exposure to the game is huge, and I'm not knocking the PLL. Like, you would never see that happen in the PLL, right? They, they push and shove, kind of, little fist. That's not fighting, right? And people, that's all over the way PLL is marketed, and they're doing a great job with that. But the NLL that's what these guys, I didn't fight, but like growing up in Canada, I mean, you saw fights all the time. It's part of the game, and the NHL is the same way. And I know that's, fighting's down the NHL too, but yeah, who doesn't love a good scrap and, two good boys. And also too, like, it was a player sticking up for his teammate, right? Dane Smith, superstar, coming off the bench, and his teammate jumped in, and, that's part of the game. And yeah, I think it's great exposure.
It's a great way for,
go ahead, Connor.
I was going to say, it's a great way for players to police the game themselves. And it provides that if you're going to be an idiot, like, you're going to get dealt with. And as long as it's two people that are willing participants, and you're not, Paul Dawson going after, Thomas Bella, then I think it's have fun.
Yeah.
So I am curious, because I got to know Snyder when he played with the Outlaws, because I originally started on the Outlaws broadcast when they first showed up here, right? And I was on the sideline, and guys used to tell me, like, what, Jamie, this is probably more a question for you, but what made him scary? And then I'd ask you, and I say that, Connor, I don't know how much you remember of Snyder, but he was a dude where I literally saw guys avoid fighting, like bigger dudes avoid fighting him. And I never really got an answer as to, what made it. And I don't, if you guys have a better term, all I can think of is scary, because I just saw guys turn down. Like, Jeff made it very clear, I want to go, and guys would be like, I ain't going with you, dude. Do you know what was it about his rep, Jamie, that made him so feared?
Yeah, I think it was just that generation. Like, they grew up doing it. And I know Jeff Snyder, fellow Burnaby Laker, played for that dynasty Lakers there. And there's some tough guys on that team. And, not only could they score goals, but like Connor mentioned, they policed the game and took care of business. And there were some scary guys. So I feel like Jeff wanted to establish himself as a heavyweight, and he definitely did. And when you're number one, guys challenge you. And there were so many, like I said, I think it's just that generation. I remember my first game after I got traded from the Mammoth to Minnesota, Rory Smith is on the team, and I'm going to the bathroom, whatever. And I hear this noise, and he's shadow boxing, in the bathroom. Right. I'm like, what are you doing? Right. I'm old guy, make sure my stick's good, this and that. And he's like, oh, fighting Troy Bonterra tonight. And he did. And it's on YouTube. Like I was like, holy crap. But it was, I think it was just a generation, and Snyder's just one of those guys. Like, these guys study each other, just like, offensive players, everybody watches film. Like, these guys watch, each other fight, and it's a skill. And those guys were so skilled at it. And Jeff was one of the best.
Connor, do you feel comfort? I feel like you've got some bigger guys. We all love Moose.
We got some
right?
big boys.
Well, hey, look, Moose stepped up the first game when he needed to, and who was that? I can't even remember the guy's name. Theed, I think, wanted somebody to fight him.
Mm-hmm.
But I always think of our guy Zed, because I remember, who was it? Zed took down.
He pigeon tossed Merrill.
Yes, that's right. And then he pins like every time. I feel like Zed. When Zed puts you down, Zed's like, I don't want to punch you, but it feels like that's it. It's over anyway, right? If Zed were to ragdoll me down, which he could do easily, I think I'd be like, all right, bro, we're good. We're good. You can let me up. I'll go back to the bench or something. Zed's not to be messed with, is he?
No, he's terrifying. Like you saw when, what was it, game 1, when Warren was fighting Subak. And
that was
Beersy tried to and he just pinned him down, just like absolutely. It's just ridiculous. I mean, you see him out there, playing offense, whether he's doing like a one-on-one or he's setting a pick, like he's just hammering guys. But he's doing it the same kind of strength we're trying to put out, like normal people. And I mean, you don't get the nickname Zedzilla for being regular strength. I think
it was.
Go ahead.
So I was gonna say, I think it was last broadcast. I said if there's a stat for most moving picks, it'd be Zed Williams.
Yeah, 100%.
It's like I think I said it's like a grown man playing against a 10-year-old. Sometimes like he doesn't mean to. He's just so strong.
Well, it's crazy, and like defenders got to do everything they can to. He doesn't get a lot of calls sent his way, but they got to do everything they can. Whether that's hold him, grab him, do whatever, because he's so big and he's so strong.
All right, we got a fan comment, and then Connor, we'll cut you free. I'm sorry, man, this has gone longer than we thought, but we could talk to you all night. By the way, my son says hello. Connor, for everyone to know out there, I swear to God, I know you know this. You're like my son's favorite athlete. I don't know if you're like his Instagram profile pic, and I think it's really cool because he loves you to death. He loves all you guys. He's always there at the autograph session. I hope. I'm like, dude, you've got like all their autographs 5 times. They're going to think you're trying to pass checks or something. You know what I mean? But anyway, so this comes from Stanaconda, but he asks, after a game like that with a big comeback, are you trying to use the momentum and jump on them right away? Or are you just more worried about playing your pace of game? I'll paraphrase there.
Good question. I think it's just stick to our game plan. I mean, they're gonna come out with some fire. They're gonna come out with some juice to kind of set the tone early in their home arena. But we just got to stick to our game plan. You saw we were successful eventually, just kind of sticking to our game and playing Mammoth lacrosse. So just keeping to that, knowing that we can't really dig ourselves that big of a hole as much fun as that was coming out of it. But just sticking to the game and knowing that if they're gonna answer, we're gonna answer back, and we're just gonna stick to our game and play Mammoth lacrosse.
All right, bud, we'll let you go. I appreciate you staying. You know what? The way this is going, it may just be the Connor Robinson show here. You may be on every other week, which I don't think anybody would complain about. Stay healthy. Have a great weekend in Albany. I hope the travel doesn't cause too much of a problem for you. I hear they're supposed to get like some really crappy weather in Orchard Park, too. So I hope all the travel's good for you. And then, we'll talk to you soon. It's near Buffalo. So get this. I know this because the Broncos played the Bills, and everyone's got this problem last week where they're like, oh, the weather in Buffalo is this, that, the other. And all these sports people in town kept looking at Buffalo. And I finally had to tell them, my buddy Jeff Legwald, who works for ESPN, he told me that the stadium's in Orchard Park, which is because of the Great Lakes snow, it's like in the snow belt. And they got the stadium land very cheap because all the bad storms blow through there. So you can have like a couple inches in Buffalo, but Orchard Park's getting hammered, and they're worried it's going to get hammered again with like -15 and all that. So
no, that's going to be good. No, I don't think that's supposed to hit till I think Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, because then we got to go back to Roch. So we got a little lucky, but it's not going to be great. But we're
it's winter, right?
Thank goodness we play indoors, right?
Connor, man, you're the best. We appreciate you, bud. We'll talk to you here in a couple weeks back at home.
Yeah, it sounds good. Thanks for having me on, guys.
See you, buddy.
All right. Go ahead, Peyton. Sorry.
I was saying Buffalo's building a new stadium, and it's still an outdoor stadium. I don't know why. Build an indoor stadium.
I guess they figure they've got a home field advantage for it, but I feel like all sports at some point are probably just going to get played indoors, and I say that it's in a football podcast, but all the football people get mad at me because they love, there's people like we had a game here, the Blizzard of 82 game, or what maybe it's 83, but it was a Monday Night Football game against the Packers, and it was just literally a blizzard. And as I've gotten older and older, it feels like everybody I meet wants to claim they were at that game. You weren't at that game. There are like 9,000 people at that game. Quit telling me you all were at that game. But that's Buffalo, man. They're proud and they're a little bit nutty. All right, as we wrap this up, Jamie, what do they got to do to make this an 2-0 sweep of Albany?
Yeah, I think they're in a great spot right now with the unified standings. I feel like this, even more so, they put themselves in a good position at this point of the year. But this next segment of the season, 5-6 games, and being on the road quite a bit is very crucial. I think it's make or break for any team, not just the Mammoth. And obviously Albany being in the spot there, and they've made some changes this week, some roster changes, and they
traded Fennell. Did you see that?
Yeah, they traded Fennell. So I think just going into on the road, and a team like Connor just said, they're going to come out with fire, and they're desperate. They're in desperation mode already, and the Mammoth are the total opposite. But like I said, it's going to be make or break these next 4 or 5 games. They definitely need to focus on winning 3 or 4 of them, I think, to put himself in a good position, obviously make playoffs, but they could also end up with a home playoff game, which everybody's fighting for too.
Yeah, it's so. By the way, I wanted to give you guys this story. First off, Peyton, was that your favorite theme night?
Yes, country and sports. That's my go-to. That is like perfect representation of who I am.
So I did want to Google this. It was funny. I pulled up the page, but yes, a sock trick obviously is when a player scores 6 goals, but apparently, guess who? Gary Gate in 2004 scored 6 goals. No shock there, right, Jamie, for the Mammoth. And the fans decided to toss socks on the turf. I don't know if somebody told them to. I don't know. You see, what I think is crazy about the sock trick is no one tosses their hats anymore. You know what I mean?
I think that's more of a hockey thing, because a player can score a hat trick in lacrosse almost every game.
Well, yeah, we had like 4 or 5 guys of them last from, I think both teams, we had 6 guys with hat tricks or something.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys, good catching up with you. We're going to make it Wednesday at 8 o'clock, folks, until we find out that doesn't work. We're going to do the best we can to keep this Wednesday, 8 o'clock, but we want you to hear from the players, and it's got to work for them. And so, but that's going to be the goal. He's Jamie Shuchuk, former Mammoth. Give me all your teams now. You were Mammoth. Were you
just Minnesota?
Minnesota was the only other one?
Yep.
Okay. Did you come back? Didn't you come back after Minnesota?
Yeah, they traded back for me.
Well, hey, you knew the system. And she's Peyton Kraft. You see her inside the arena as your in-arena host for Colorado Mammoth. I'm Andy Lindahl. We'll talk to you all next week after hopefully the Mammoth take a road game in Albany. Good night.